I'm your host, Nancy Carlson. Our guest now is Molly MacRae. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Molly has done what a lot of mystery writers would love to do, and that is to get short stories published in Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine, which I believe you've done 8, 9 times, something like that?
8 times now.
8 times. Alfred Hitchcock is one of those few mystery magazines that it's tough. They must have a lot of submissions. Do you know what the ratio is of?
I read once, I think, 35 to 40,000 submissions a year, and they publish maybe 120.
Okay, that hurts, because that means most of us are not getting our stories published in Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. Congratulations for that. Tell us about the most recent one from 2008.
Oh, the most recent one is Cookies, and it's an interesting story in that it's not part of my series. The rest are part of a series. This is a standalone, but I wrote it with another writer.
Oh.
I wrote it with Stephen F. Johnston, who lives in the Netherlands and speaks English, thank goodness, because I don't speak Dutch. We've never met each other. We just know each other through cyberspace. He sent me a story and said, "You want to work on it with me?" And I thought, nah, not really. But then I picked it up, and it was great because I didn't have to think up the characters. I didn't have to think up the plot line. All I had to do was he gave me permission to do whatever I wanted to do with that story. So I rewrote it, from start to finish, the way I wanted to see it, sent it back to him. He must have thought, it's because he wrote it again the way he wanted it. But we went back and forth, and we fine-tuned it.
All electronically?
Yeah.
So are your cookies cyber cookies, or are they bakery cookies?
Both.
Both?
Yes, there's a lot of cooking in the story. It is a bit of a mystery, but it's more of a crime story, and it involves a lot of seductive cooking and also some cyber cookies.
That sounds really interesting. But you mentioned a series, so tell us about the series, starting with the theme of it, and then tell us who the protagonist is.
Okay, the theme is Southern Sisters. Mm-hmm. There's Margaret Welsh, who is a bookseller in a small Blue Ridge mountain town, and her sister Bitsy, who is annoying.
Annoying name.
It is an annoying name, yeah, and she's an annoying person. And people ask me, well, my sisters in particular ask me, which one of us is Bitsy?
Right.
And I'll say, wait, no, both. I am both Bitsy and Margaret.
Okay.
And that's true. Yeah, that is true. Margaret owns a bookstore and rarely leaves her bookstore. Bitsy is she tries to micromanage everything about Margaret's life, and it leads to problems. And there has never been a murder in any of those stories. They all involve small crimes. It's actually a trio. It's Margaret, Bitsy, and their elderly cousin Leona. And between the three of them, it's like a rubber band stretching every once in a while. They snap back, and it's the chemistry between them. It's this dance between the three of them.
But no dead bodies.
No dead bodies, no. A stolen piece of what's called zoodoo. Do you know what zoodoo is?
No, what's zoodoo?
It's elephant dung that the Knoxville Zoo forms into various sculptures that you put out in your garden, and it's a natural form of fertilizer, and they call it zoodoo.
So does it disappear as it rains?
Yeah, it does. I had a couple of zoodoo elephants in my garden.
Someone stole zoodoo, and that was the basis of a crime in this small town in the Blue Ridge Mountains?
There was more to it than that, but that was the catalyst. Like, where did the zoodoo go?
Well,
Yeah. It works. Somehow it works, yeah. Hard to believe, but.
What other small crimes have you written about?
The disappearance of Bitsy's ring. She was over at cousin Leona's house. She put her ring down on the table, forgot she'd done it, and accused Margaret of stealing it. And it was a small crime with small villains. And Margaret hadn't stolen it, of course. In fact, there was no crime involved in that one at all. That was the first one that sold.
Did you build that into a short story or a novel?
No, that was a short story.
Short story.
They are in a novel that isn't published yet. I hope someday will be published.
You've written it, but it's not published.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hopeful.
Do you write full-time, or are you a professor somewhere, or what do you?
I'm a fake librarian.
A fake librarian?
Yeah.
You don't have the degree?
Right, I don't have the degree, but I am a children's librarian at the public library in Champaign, Illinois.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And you live in a college town where there's a lot of rich resources,
Yeah,
right?
but I've only been there for the last 6 years. For 20 years, my family and I lived in Upper East Tennessee in a small town in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh,
It was
that's your
talk
setting.
about lush place for plots and cozy mysteries, cozy / traditional mysteries.
Some moonshine stills there somewhere?
Yeah.
Or
Oh yeah.
good secrets? And
Lots of things. And that's
storytellers?
what my novel is about rumors.
Oh, let's do that.
Okay.
Wilder Rumors. is
Wilder
the book.
Rumors. Yeah, it's about a shady museum curator new to town, and so anyone coming into a town like that is suspect. They're not from around here. So it's a shady museum curator in a small Blue Ridge mountain town, burglary, rumors, murder. And
Oh my.
well, and it's a gentle sort of read, but it's about this guy who shows up and he thinks he's found the idyllic place to get away from it all.
So in your head, do you have some other titles that you're thinking about for your protagonist, Lewis Wilder?
I do. Originally, the book was going to be called A Skulk of Foxes because the burglar in the story calls himself the Fox, and a skulk of foxes is the collective noun for fox.
Didn't know that.
Well, it made sense to me at the time, but then it just made much more sense because Lewis Wilder has this great last name. Call it Wilder Rumors. The story is about rumors.
That works.
And then for the next one, which could take place at a living history site, it can be Wilder characters, and then if he ends up marrying his love interest, it can be Wilder, and we can go on from there. Yeah.
I like that. All right, can you take the character that has driven your books and the future books, can you take it and spin that off into a short story?
Yeah, and I did that with a short story called Wilder Dancing. It takes place at a street dance in this small town where he lives. And that was published in an online magazine called Mysterical E last summer.
Good. And then that will never appear in a book unless it's anthologized, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, actually, Sony has picked up some short stories. They are doing reprints, and they're you can download them. And they picked up Wilder Dancing as a download.
wow. So this is Sony Pictures or
Sony ebooks.
Sony eBooks.
Yeah, it's part
Wow.
of some part of Sony.
It sounds like you're on the road to a wonderful career with Wilder, and congratulations. I'm very impressed with your Hitchcock publications because I know how very hard that is to do.
That was the biggest thrill of my life.
I would think so. I certainly understand that. And our audience does too. Our audience got the chance to meet Molly MacRae today on Voices in Mystery. Thank you so much for appearing with us. I really appreciate it, and come back often.
Thank you, Nancy.